Top 10 NITs. For a JEE aspirant, the most celebrated institutions are the IITs and NITs, without doubt. Following the glorious path carved by IITs, several NITs have been ranked above the IITs according to the NIRF 2021 ranking, thereby transforming into the technical hub of the nation and the magic pill for all the engineering aspirants all over the country. In this video, we're looking at the top 10 National Institutes of Technology, NITs, in India for the year 2021. This year witnessed sensational growth, with 26 NITs being ranked in the NIRF table among the 31 NITs. Are you thrilled to analyze the top 10 spots among these prestigious NITs for 2021? Let's dive into discovering the best of the NITs. At number 10 comes NIT Kurukshetra. The approved intake for this year at NIT Kurukshetra stands at an adequate 965 for UG and 523 for PG. 2020 displayed a figure of 862 UG and 458 PG, and in 2019 it was just 832 UG students. These statistics throw light on the overall student strength of NIT Kurukshetra, which is a substantial 4,226 engineering students across all years. This year, a magnificent 91.11% of UG students graduated within the minimum stipulated time. In 2020, it was 84.62%, and in 2019, the graduation percentage was 83.51%. Analyzing the placement percentage at NIT Kurukshetra, this year confers 79.96%, 2020 testified to a pronounced 94.92%, and finally 2019 had a placement percentage of 90.86%. The placed students were offered a fine salary package of 8 lakh per annum this year. In 2020, the median salary was 6.5 lakh per annum, and lastly, the same 6.5 lakh per annum in 2019 was offered to the placed students at NIT Kurukshetra. NIT Kurukshetra has spent more than 34 crores as annual capital expenditure this year. In 2020, the capital expenses were a mammoth 111 crores, and in 2019, the institution had a capital expenditure that amounted to a minimal 22 crores. The operational expenditure for 2021 was a phenomenal 138 crores, while 2020 saw an increase amounting to 128 crores when compared with the 99 crores of operational expenses in 2019. NIT Kurukshetra has scored 62.2% in teaching, learning and resources, 40.64% in research and professional practices, 62.01% in graduation outcomes, 53.66% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 19.73% in perception from the public. Combining all of these scores, NIT Kurukshetra gets an overall score of 50.59% and an NIRF rank of number 44. Across all the 3 years, NIT Kurukshetra has witnessed a de-escalation in its rank. The 9th rank is bagged by Motilal Nehru NIT Allahabad, popularly known as MNNIT or NIT Allahabad. The approved intake of UG candidates showed a calibration from 886 in 2019 to 954 in 2020 to 1006 in 2021. The PG program also showed a boost from 475 in 2020 to 528 in 2021. Over the span of recent years, NIT Allahabad saw a grand total of 4,443 engineering students across all years. The UG section had seen the graduation of 98.62% this year, and 90.24% in 2020, and 91.34% in 2019. The placement percentage was an exemplary 98.1% this year, 92.55% last year, and 84.1% in 2019. The median annual income sees a progression from 7.95 lakh per annum in 2019, 8 lakh per annum in 2020, and 11.59 lakh per annum in 2021. The year 2021 had seen a capital expenditure of 31 crores when compared to the 22 crores in 2020 and 18 crores expended in 2019. The operational expenditure amounted to 155 crores this year and last year. Finally, in 2019, it was 141 crores. Now let's look at the various NIRF parameters. For teaching, learning and resources, NIT Allahabad has scored 64.23%. 34.07% in research and professional practice, 73.63% in graduation outcomes, 54.84% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 21.98% in perception from the public. This yields an overall score of 51.9%, ranking number 42 on the NIRF table. At number 8 comes Malavya NIT Jaipur, or popularly termed as MNNIT Jaipur. The approved intake this year turns up to 900 UG aspirants and 1,025 PG aspirants, while 746 in UG and 800 in PG filled seats in 2020 and 2019 showed a numerical of 716 UG students. Over the span of recent years, the NIT saw a grand total of 3,967 engineering students. The UG section has seen a graduation of 95.7% this year and 83.09% in 2020 and 90.95% in 2019. The placement percentage was 73.83% this year, 87% last year, and 77.1% in 2019. The median annual income every year adds up to 7 lakh per annum in 2021, from 6.8 lakh per annum in 2020 and 6.25 lakh per annum in 2019. The years 2021 and 2020 have seen capital expenditure of 17 crores, while in 2019 the capital expenses amounted to a massive 68 crores. The operational expenditure amounted to 123 crores this year compared to a similar 122 crores in 2020, and it was 125 crores in 2019 respectively. Now let's look at the various NIRF parameters. For teaching, learning and resources, MNNIT Jaipur has scored 70.69%, 43.21% in research and professional practices, 62.04% in graduation outcomes, 57.79% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 15.86% in perception from the public. This yields an overall score of 53.95%, ranking number 37 on the NIRF table. The next institution on the list at number 7 is Visvesvaraya NIT Nagpur, popularly called VNIT Nagpur. The approved intake this year amounts to 933 UG aspirants and 550 PG aspirants, while 2020 saw again a slightly reduced strength of 922 in UG and 500 in PG filled seats, and 2019 showed a statistic of 746 UG students. Over the span of recent years, the VNIT saw a grand total of 4,132 engineering students. The UG section had seen a graduation of a whopping 93.62% this year and a percentage of 90.64% in 2020. In 2019, it was 88.87%. The placement percentage also had an excellent 98.42% this year, 87.4% last year, and 75.95% in 2019. The median annual income at VNIT sums up to 8.53 lakhs per annum in 2021, from 6 lakhs per annum in 2020 and in 2019. The year 2021 had seen a capital expenditure of 34 crores when compared to 28 crores in 2020 and ultimately 27 crores in 2019. The operational expenditure amounted to 128 crores this year when compared to the 130 crores and the 103 crores in 2020 and 2019 respectively. Now let's look at the various NIRF parameters. For teaching, learning and resources, VNIT Nagpur has scored 66.19%. 46.05% in research and professional practices, 70.66% in graduation outcomes, 53.53% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 17.84% in perception from the public. This yields an overall score of 54.94%, ranking number 30 on the NIRF table. Before we proceed to the 6th premier NIT, welcome to College Suggest. All the facts mentioned in this video are directly sourced from the data submitted by the college to the NIRF for the 2021 ranking. We will leave the link in the description below. Click on the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications on your favorite college details, college comparisons, courses, careers, and so much more. At number 6, we have the brilliant NIT Durgapur. NIT Durgapur this year had an approved intake of 790 UG students for the 4-year program, 10 UG students for the 5-year program, and 342 PG students for the 2-year program. 2020 saw 700 UG students for the 2-year program, a constant 10 UG students for the 5-year program, and 304 PG students for the 2-year program. While going back, 2019 eyed an intake of 647 UG students for the 4-year program and a consistent 10 UG students for the 5-year program. The institution comprises an overall 3,364 engineering students across all years. In the UG program at NIT Durgapur, an excellent 96.79% of students graduated this year. In 2020, the figure was 98.94%, and in 2019, the graduation percentage was 94.31%. The number of students placed this year at NIT Durgapur is an appreciable 88.3%. In 2020, the placement percentage was 98.88%, and in 2019, 81.29% of students were placed. The median salary this year was 7.9 lakh per annum. Last year, the salary package was 6.4 lakh per annum, and lastly, in 2019, the placed students were offered a median salary of 6 lakh per annum. The annual capital expenditure in 2021 for NIT Durgapur is 10 crores. 2020 observed capital expenses amounting to 14 crores, and in 2019, the capital expenditure was at 19 crores. This year witnessed an operational expenditure of a splendid 140 crores. In 2020, the operational expenses were much higher, 136 crores, when compared with the 101 crores that were utilized as operational expenses in 2019. NIT Durgapur has scored 69.23% in teaching, learning and resources, 42.64% in research and professional practices, 68.37% in graduation outcomes, 56.43% in outreach and inclusivity, and ultimately 26.15% in perception from the public. With the aid of all of these individual scores, NIT Durgapur has attained an overall score of 55.48% and climbed up the 29th rank in the NIRF table. Across all 3 years, we testify to NIT Durgapur's consistent performance. Coming in at number 5, we have NIT Calicut. The institution intakes 1,059 UG students in their 4-year program and 483 PG students in their 2-year program for the year 2021. Last year was a similar one with 909 UG students for the 4-year program and 430 PG students for their 2-year program. Finally, in 2019, there was an approved intake of 890 UG students in the 4-year program and 0 PG students. The institution houses 4,742 students across all years. Delving into the UG program at NIT Calicut, a phenomenal 98.64% of students graduated this year, while 2020 viewed an amazing 99.28%, and in 2019, the graduation percentage was an exemplary 99.42%. The number of students placed this year echoed an appreciable 91.38%. A stellar 98.57% was the placement percentage in 2020 when compared to 91.39% in 2019. The median salary offered to place students this year stands at a good 8.98 lakh per annum. 2020 had a median salary of 8.05 lakhs per annum, and 2019 granted place students the luxury of 7.2 lakhs per annum. The annual capital expenditure at NIT Calicut in 2021 was 28 crores. 2020 utilized an annual capital expenditure that amounted to 25 crores, and finally 2019 employed 12 crores as capital expenses. The operational expenditure deployed this year was a colossal 143 crores. 2020 also observed an increase in operational expenses reaching 136 crores when compared to 112 crores spent in 2019 by NIT Calicut. NIT Calicut has scored 68% in teaching, learning and resources, 34.63% in research and professional practices, 77.94% in graduation outcomes, 63.52% in outreach and inclusivity, and lastly 37.53% in perception from the public. The blend of all of these scores confers NIT Calicut an overall score of 56.48% and the 25th rank on the NIRF table. Across the 3 years, we can perceive NIT Calicut's escalation in ranks from the previous years. At number 4, we have the exceptional Warangal. The NIT Warangal UG 4-year program in 2018 and 2019 observed a fixed 800 seats, which then increased to 817 seats in 2020. In 2021, there was an escalation of 18.63% with 1,004 UG seats. The 2-year PG program saw an increase from 550 seats in 2020 to 688 seats in 2021. NIT Warangal student strength is a lofty 4,895 engineering students. In the UG program at NIT Warangal, a significant 94.86% of students graduated this year. In 2020, the figure was 95.8%, and in 2019, the graduation percentage was 91.45%. The number of students placed this year at NIT Warangal is 87.86%. In 2020, the placement percentage was a stellar 93.74% compared to the 90.05% in 2019. The median salary this year was 9 lakhs per annum at NIT Warangal. Last year, the salary package was a similar 9 lakhs per annum, and in 2019, the placed students were offered a median salary of 8.3 lakhs per annum. The annual capital expenditure in 2021 for NIT Warangal is 16 crores. 2020 observed capital expenses amounting to 5 crores, and in 2019 the capital expenditure was 6 crores. This year witnessed an operational expenditure of an appreciable 186 crores at NIT Warangal. In 2020, the operational expenses reached 171 crores when compared to the 135 crores utilized as operational expenses in 2019. NIT Warangal has scored 67.88% in teaching, learning and resources, 39.6% in research and professional practices, 74.47% in graduation outcomes, 55.52% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 40.72% in perception from the public. With all of these scores under multiple parameters, NIT Warangal has attained an overall score of 56.76% and has bagged the 23rd rank on the NIRF table. Considering all 3 years, NIT Warangal has soared in its rank. Now we are about to unfold the most awaited moment, the ultimate revelation of the top 3 NITs of the year 2021. At number 3, we have the glorious NIT Rourkela. NIT Rourkela has an edge when it comes to approved intake. 2021 observed 927 seats for the 4-year UG program, 25 seats for the 5-year UG program, and 1,060 seats for the 2-year PG program, as well as 150 seats for the PG integrated program. In 2020, this figure was 747 for the 4-year UG program, 20 seats for the 5-year UG program, 985 seats for the 2-year PG program, and 120 seats for the PG integrated program. Finally, in 2019, there were 710 seats for the UG 4-year program, 20 seats for the UG 5-year program, and 120 seats for the PG integrated program. The renowned NIT Rourkela accommodates a massive 5,463 engineering students across all years. The graduation percentage of NIT Rourkela is 91.12% in 2021, 84.32% in 2020, and 79.7% in 2019. NIT Rourkela portrays an exciting placement percentage with 92.67% this year, a breathtaking 97.62% in 2020, and an amazing 98.2% in 2019. NIT Rourkela follows a progressive growth of 5.98 lakhs per annum in 2019, 6.5 lakhs per annum was furnished in 2020, and 7.11 lakhs per annum in 2021. NIT Rourkela noted an annual capital expenditure of 12 crores in 2021, 10 crores in 2020, and in 2019 the capital expenses were 35 crores. The operational expenditure for NIT Rourkela displayed 185 crores in 2021, which was 177 crores last year, and in 2019 the operational expenses were 165 crores. NIT Rourkela has a score of 62.21% in teaching, learning and resources, 56.58% in research and professional practices, 72.53% in graduation outcomes, 50.72% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 28.08% in perception from the public. Regarding all of these individual scores, NIT Rourkela has achieved an overall score of 58.02% and has been ranked at number 20 on the NIRF table. NIT Rourkela has observed a downtrend in its rank from the past 3 years. However, it remains to be among the celebrated NITs among JEE aspirants. At the second spot, we have the illustrious NIT Surathkal or NIT Karnataka. NIT Surathkal intakes a steady 740 students for their UG 4-year program. This is throughout all 4 years from 2018 to 2021. The 2-year PG program at NIT Surathkal has also witnessed a uniform 579 seats for this year and last year. Considering all of the engineering students across every year, NIT Surathkal has an appreciable 4,473 ambitious students for the year 2021. Delving into the UG program, a stellar 94.97% of students graduated this year at NIT Surathkal, while 2020 viewed an appreciable 95.39%, and in 2019 the graduation percentage was 98.08%. At NIT Surathkal, the number of students placed this year echoed a striking 89.98%, a sensational 98.42% were placed in 2020, and in 2019, a fine 87.15% of students were placed from NIT Surathkal. The median salary offered to place students at NIT Surathkal this year stands at a good 9.8 lakhs per annum. In 2020, graduates had a median salary of 8 lakhs per annum, and 2019 granted place students 7.1 lakh per annum. The annual capital expenditure at NIT Surathkal in 2021 was 41 crores. 2020 utilized an annual capital expenditure of 31 crores, and 2019 employed 54 crores as capital expenses. The operational expenditure deployed in 2019 was 171 crores. Last year observed an escalation of 11.39%, realizing a fine 193 crores. And finally, 2021 saw an even more impressive 233 crores as operational expenses. NIT Surathkal has bagged 73.15% in teaching, learning and resources, 50.17% in research and professional practices, 78.62% in graduation outcomes, 64.54% in outreach and inclusivity, and finally 50.18% in perception from the public. Summing up all of these scores, NIT Surathkal has observed an overall score of 64.19% and has been ranked number 10 on the NIRF table. NIT Surathkal across the 3 years has perceived an escalation in its rank. At number 1, we have the phenomenal NIT Trichy, which proves time and time again to be the showstopper in the country among the NITs. NIT Trichy noticed a constant 768 seats for its UG 4-year program for a prolonged 3 years. This includes 2018, 2019, and 2020. In 2021, there was an increase in the number of seats to 964, a 20.33% escalation. At NIT Trichy, the 2-year PG program saw a consistent 582 seats in both 2021 and 2020. NIT Trichy has a total student strength of 4,647 engineering students across all years. From the UG program at NIT Trichy, a phenomenal 99.01% of students graduated within the minimum stipulated time this year. 2020 saw a graduation percentage of a fantastic 95.71%, and in 2019, the number of students who graduated stood at a sensational 96.98%. Also moving on, the placement percentage of NIT Trichy for the UG program in 2021 stood at a commendable 88.96%. Last year, the number of students placed was 90.87%, and finally in 2019, the placement percentage was 86.88%. The median salary offered at NIT Trichy this year was a terrific 10.5 lakhs per annum. In 2020, placed students were presented with 9 lakhs per annum, and the median salary in 2019 was 7.5 lakhs per annum. NIT Trichy has spent over 59 crores this year as annual capital expenditure. The capital expenses in 2020 was a much reduced 64 crores when compared to a mammoth 108 crores in 2019. Simultaneously, the operational expenditure for the institution in 2021 was an exciting 243 crores, while 2020 saw 201 crores and 2019 saw an amount of 166 crores. NIT Trichy has scored 70% in teaching, learning and resources, 54.63% in research and professional practices, 78.13% in graduation outcomes, 61.35% in outreach and inclusivity, and ultimately 69.32% in perception from the public. With these stunning scores, NIT Trichy has an overall score of 66.08% and has been ranked number 9 on the NIRF table. NIT Trichy is consistent in maintaining its rank at the top across all the years. Now let's dive into a short and sweet analysis of where these colleges stand on various parameters. Considering all the institutions, NIT Rourkela has the highest overall student strength. When we look at the graduation percentage of all the NITs, one that tops the list is undoubtedly NIT Trichy with an impressive 99.01%. This depicts NIT Trichy's excellence in churning out more brilliant engineering graduates. Delving into the placement stats, the unparalleled winner is VNIT Nagpur with a sensational 98.42% in placements, highlighting the institution's efforts to place all eligible students. MNNIT Allahabad is the showstopper when it comes to the median salary package offered to place students, with a gargantuan 11.59 lakhs per annum. When it comes to capital expenses and operational expenses, NIT Trichy yet again tops the list. So there you have it, all the nitty-gritties about the top 10 NITs. Every NIT grants a unique experience, enabling its students to embrace world-class technical education. Soon we will upload a detailed comparison review of these top institutions and many other top 10 institutions in the various segments of our upcoming videos. What other interesting top 10s would you like to see? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and for more information, visit us at collegesuggest.com.